Nightline begins now with me, Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. The headlines. Bill on abolishment of death penalty to be tabled in Parliament on October 4th. And Malaysia on track to achieving 70 billion ringgit digital investment target by 2025. Good morning. The government has finalised its decision on the policy to replace the mandatory death penalty with alternative punishment and will present it to the Cabinet soon. The bill in relation to the implementation of the substitute sentences is expected to be tabled in the Dewan Rakyat for first reading on October 4th. In a statement on Tuesday, Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Dr. Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said the government in principle had agreed to the proposal to substitute sentences for 11 offences carrying the mandatory death penalty. One offence under Section 39B of the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952, as well as 22 other offences that also carry the death penalty, but at the discretion of the courts. This also includes granting a moratorium for 1,337 inmates who have been convicted and sentenced to death. Dr. Sri Wan Junaidi added the decision was made after two series of meetings held on September 6 and on Tuesday by the Substitute Sentences for the Mandatory Death Penalty Task Force Technical Committee, which he had chaired. He also said the decision of the task force would be submitted and tabled at the Cabinet meeting for consideration and approval before the amendment is tabled during the next Parliament sitting. Among the offences punishable by death in Malaysia include drug trafficking, murder, treason, terrorism, kidnapping and illegal possession of firearms. Malaysia is in a good position to achieve the 70 billion ringgit digital investment target by 2025, in line with the country's digital economy blueprint. In making the announcement, Prime Minister Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said Malaysia plays an important role as digital investment hub in ASEAN.
Dengan memiliki infrastruktur bertaraf dunia, ekosistem digital yang holistik dan bakat digital yang berpengetahuan tinggi hari ini, Malaysia mampu menjadi destinasi pelaburan digital utama di ASEAN ini.
He said this at the official ceremony for the World Congress on Innovation and Technology, WCIT 2022 in Bayan Lepas, Pulau Pinang on Tuesday. According to the Prime Minister, since the MSC Malaysia initiative was launched in 1996, the country has attracted digital investments worth 384 billion ringgit and generated 180,000 jobs, as well as 588 billion ringgit in revenue. After 26 years, MSC Malaysia has been rebranded as Malaysia Digital, or MD. Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri added that MD will transform the national digital ecosystem and drive more direct high-impact programs for Keluarga Malaysia. He also noted that although MD was only launched in July, it has managed to attract foreign direct digital investments worth 42 billion ringgit in only 2 months. The investments came in via 28 foreign companies which are involved in data centers, IT services, technological creative content and global business services, or GBS. Dr. Sri Ismail Sabri also revealed that domestic digital investments have hit 4.76 billion ringgit up to August 24, 2022. Through this effort, 6,000 high-value jobs have been created and it will continue to grow going forward. He added the government has also formulated a digital ecosystem to spur innovation through initiatives such as My Digital, which includes the Digital Economy Blueprint and the Fourth Industrial Revolution 4IR policy.
Kejayaan ini amat penting dalam proses pemulihan ekonomi negara kerana ia akan mewujudkan peluang pekerjaan berpengetahuan tinggi, membantu merancangkan inovasi, seterusnya melonjakkan lagi ekonomi digital.
The My Digital initiative also supports the country's development through the 12th Malaysia Plan to transform Malaysia into a high-income nation driven by digitalization and to be a regional leader in the digital economy. And at the same event, the Prime Minister also disclosed that a meeting among UMNO's top 5 leaders is expected to be held soon to discuss the date for the 15th general election, GE15. Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri, who is also UMNO Vice President, said the window for holding GE15 this year is still open, and UMNO's top 5 would meet to discuss the timing for the polls.
As I told you earlier, that every decision will be made by top 5, UMNO top 5. So we wait for UMNO top 5 meeting.
When is it? Do you know the top 5?
As soon as possible, the meeting.
Before the budget announcement, before the tabling of budget, you will be meeting the top 5?
Maybe earlier.
Earlier.
Maybe.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
UMNO's top 5 leaders are President Datuk Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, Deputy President Datuk Sri Muhammad Hassan, and Vice Presidents Datuk Sri Muhammad Khalid Nordin, Datuk Sri Mazir Khalid, and Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri. The preliminary report into the crash involving the Eurocopter EC-120B helicopter in Bido, Perak that killed Hong Kong pilot Zirkin Richard Chan will be announced within 30 days. Transport Minister Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong said the Search and Rescue SAR Operations Centre at the Kuala Lumpur Air Traffic Control Centre KLATCC has been closed as the SAR effort was completed.
A detailed report within a year. But the maklumat awalan, siapa punya aircraft, apa berlaku, very factual. Itu 30 hari. Itu ikut peraturan ataupun tata cara IQ. Kita ikut 100% apa yang dikendaki oleh Badan Antarabangsa.
Datuk Sri Wee said this in a media conference after launching the state safety program at KLATCC in Sepang, Selangor on Tuesday. He added that the Air Accident Investigation Bureau AAIB has taken over the case since Monday, while the technical investigation into the licensing and legality of the helicopter's operation will be carried out by the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAAM. He also said that once the report regarding the incident has been completed, any weaknesses and violations of regulations will be reported to the CAAM for follow-up action. On September 11th, the helicopter was reported to have lost contact with KLATCC and was reported missing in the Bido area before it was found the next day. The helicopter took off from Sultan Abdul Aziz Shah Airport in Subang for a private flight and was scheduled to land at Sultan Azlan Shah Airport, Ipoh. Meanwhile, a postmortem on the 58-year-old pilot killed in the Bido helicopter crash has revealed that his death was due to head injuries from an aviation accident. Perak Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Yusri Hassan Basri confirmed this after the postmortem, which began at 9 a.m. on Tuesday at Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital in Ipoh, ended 4 hours later. He also said the victim's wife is still overseas and is expected to arrive soon to claim his body. Datuk Yusri added that the AAIB and the Royal Malaysia Police Forensics Unit have begun investigations in the location of the helicopter crash in the Chikus Forest Reserve. He also stated that the area has been placed under tight security and the wreckage of the helicopter will be handed over to the owner for further action after the investigation is completed. Moving on, Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak has been sent back to the Kuala Lumpur Hospital HKL on Tuesday for another round of tests following claims that he was suffering from stomach ulcers and high blood pressure. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said this is being done to assuage his family members so that there is no dispute to the facility's standard of care and treatment.
Saya call pengarah hospital KL tadi, Datuk Paduka Dr. Rohana, dan saya dimaklumkan bahawa beliau stabil. Saya pun telah maklum pada Datuk Dr. Asmayani, buatlah segala-gala pemeriksaan yang diperlukan. Buatlah segala-gala pemeriksaan yang diperlukan, apa-apa tes yang diperlukan supaya tidak lagi ada pertikaian berkenaan dengan perkara ini.
He said this to reporters after launching Malaysia's COVID-19 vaccination public-private partnership report at the ministry's headquarters in Putrajaya on Tuesday. On claims by Datuk Sri Najib's daughter, Noriana Najwa, that a change in his medication was to blame for his high blood pressure, Khairi stressed that he did not represent the real situation. The former Prime Minister, he said, was merely given the generic version of the patented drug that he was originally taking. Khairi, however, expressed full confidence in the team of doctors that treated and attended to the former AMNO president over the weekend. Asked to elaborate on Datuk Seri Najib's appeal for observation in hospital, he added that he could not divulge more information because it involved the latter's personal medical history. Khairi also denied claims that Datuk Seri Najib would be transferred to the National Heart Institute, IJN. He said that when Datuk Seri Najib was warded on Friday, doctors had thoroughly checked and conducted several tests on him. Khairi also disclosed that they had also shared and held conferences with the family, including Datuk Seri Najib's wife, Datin Sri Rosmah Mansor, twice since then. The Health Minister added that no inmate will be denied their fundamental right in terms of access to healthcare, and this includes Datuk Seri Najib. Now, the government has no plans to issue summons under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act to any individual not wearing face mask in public. Deputy Health Minister Dr. Nur Azmi Ghazali said the use of face masks indoors is also now optional.
Kita dah tak wajib memakai mask kecuali di tempat yang sesak dan sempit. Kita digalakkan sangat pakai mask kecuali di tempat contohnya transport awam, teksi, bas, kapal terbang. Kita kena pakai mask dan juga di fasiliti kesihatan, klinik-klinik sebab kita kena pakai mask. Kita nak melawat hospital kena pakai mask.
It's at this media conference in conjunction with the Bukit Merah Orangutan Island Foundation roundtable discussion in Bagansarai, Perak on Tuesday. On September 7th, Health Ministry Khairi Jamaluddin announced that the use of face masks indoors was no longer mandatory, although owners of premises could still determine whether visitors were required to wear one. In another development, Dr. Nur Azmi said Malaysia is waiting for the declaration for the country to enter the endemic phase of COVID-19 due to the low number of infection cases recorded at the moment. He also said the declaration depends on the World Health Organization, which determines the endemic phase status of a country. Coming up, Queen's coffin to be moved to London as crowds gather to pay their last respects. Welcome back. Mourners lined up on Tuesday in Scotland's capital to pay their respects in person to Queen Elizabeth II as the late monarch lay in state in Edinburgh's St Giles Cathedral before being flown to London accompanied by her sister, Princess Anne, and then brought to Buckingham Palace. Upon the departure of the Queen's coffin from Scotland on Tuesday afternoon, a guard of honour is expected to give the monarch a final royal salute, and the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland will play one verse of Britain's newly updated national anthem. After the coffin touches down at a British Air Force base west of London on Tuesday afternoon, it will then be transported by hearse to Buckingham Palace in the heart of the capital. On Wednesday, the Queen's coffin will be moved the short distance from the palace to Westminster Hall, where the late monarch will lie in state until her state funeral on Monday. It was reported that lines were already forming in central London, with hundreds of thousands expected to wait hours for an opportunity to see the Queen's coffin later this week as it lies in state at Westminster Hall. In the meantime, King Charles III, alongside his wife Camilla, continued his tour of the nations of the United Kingdom on Tuesday with a visit to Northern Ireland before a planned return to London. Ukraine announced on Tuesday that it aimed to liberate all of its territory after driving back Russian forces in the northeast of the country in a rapid offensive, but called on the West to speed up deliveries of weapon systems to back the advance. Since Moscow abandoned its main bastion in northeastern Ukraine on Saturday, marking its worst defeat since the early days of the war, Ukrainian troops have recaptured dozens of towns in a stunning shift in battleground momentum. Currently, fighting was still raging in the northeastern Kharkiv region, with authorities saying Ukraine's forces were making good progress because they are highly motivated and their operation is well planned. In the meantime, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking in a video address, said the West must speed up deliveries of weapon systems, calling on Ukraine's allies to strengthen cooperation to defeat Russian terror. Since Moscow's February 24th invasion, Russian controlled around a fifth of the country in the south and east, but Ukraine is now on the offensive in both areas. In India, at least 8 people were killed while several others were left injured after a massive fire broke out at an electric scooter showroom and spread to a hotel on the upper floors of the multi-story building in Telangana's Secunderabad. Authorities said early investigations suggest that the fire was caused by a short circuit in the basement of the building, which was used by the showroom owner to store the electric scooters. The short circuit reportedly occurred when the batteries were being charged, and the fire soon spread upwards to Hotel Ruby Pride, where at least 22 guests were staying. All those killed appear to have died due to asphyxiation caused by the smoke, while those injured have been shifted to various hospitals in the city for treatment. The 74th Annual Emmy Awards was back in full swing as it was held in front of a packed studio audience at the Microsoft Theatre in Los Angeles. The much-anticipated ceremony, which tilted toward repeat winners, also saw wealth being spread in a way that appeared to celebrate diversity among talent, platforms and content.
Succession and Ted Lasso emerged as returning champions at the 74th Annual Emmy Awards. With Succession an operatic satire of corporate power plays and family dysfunction, winning the Emmy for the Best Drama Series, besides nabbing the Best Drama trophy in 2020. While Ted Lasso, a feel-good sitcom about a stubbornly optimistic football coach and his quirky co-workers, won the Emmy for the Best Comedy Series for a consecutive 2 years. The White Lotus and social media sensation Squid Game also proved to be Emmy favourites, winning several handfuls of statuettes. Also winning the Emmy for her breakout hit comedy show Abbott Elementary, Quinta Brunson, who also stars in the series. She is the first black woman to earn 3 nominations in the comedy categories in the same year. As usual, there was a fair amount of repetition awards, with Zendaya claiming her second lead actress award for high school drama Euphoria, and Julia Garner receiving her 3rd Emmy for her supporting role as Ruth in the grim drama Ozark. Honorable mentions include first-time winners Jennifer Coolidge and Murray Bartlett for their performances in The White Lotus. After record low ratings in 2020 with a virtual ceremony, viewerships of the Emmys rebounded last year to an estimated 7.4 million viewers. Still low by historic standards, but a marked improvement over the previous 2 years.
The English Premier League, 3 games scheduled for this weekend have been postponed ahead of Queen Elizabeth's funeral next Monday, including Chelsea's home game against Liverpool on Sunday. According to the Premier League, Manchester United's home game versus Leeds United on Sunday has also been postponed, while Brighton and Hove Albion's match against Crystal Palace on Saturday remains postponed. The Brighton game was originally postponed due to planned industrial action on the rail network, which has been called off following the Queen's death. English football's ruling body had already postponed all of last weekend's fixtures as a mark of respect. The EPL added that 7 of the 10 Premier League fixtures this weekend will be played, with 3 matches postponed due to events surrounding the Queen's funeral. New dates for the rearranged fixtures will be announced in due course. Earlier, England's Football Association and the English Football League said matches will resume as scheduled from Tuesday, after the last round of fixtures were postponed following the Queen's death last week. That includes matches from the Women's Super League and Women's Championship, FA Cup second round qualifying, Women's FA Cup, the lower tiers of the English football pyramid, as well as all matches across grassroots football. After this breather, 2 former AMNO division leaders remanded. Nightline continues. Two former top office bearers of an AMNO division in Georgetown, Pulau Pinang, have been remanded for 7 days for an investigation into allegedly withdrawing 600,000 ringgit in party funds for their personal use. The duo, aged 49 and 73, were remanded until September 19th for investigation under the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC Act for Abuse of Power. The MACC's remand application was granted by Magistrate Rosni Muhammad Radzwan. It was learned that the two men had reports lodged against them after making several withdrawals from the AMNO division's bank account. The funds were purportedly transferred to an education foundation for their private use. It is learned that the duo are the former secretary and treasurer of the division. In Terengganu, a managing director has been arrested in connection with a probe into the submission of false claims worth 7 million ringgit for the construction project in Terengganu amounting to 100 million ringgit. The 54-year-old Datuk was arrested at his office in Shah Alam, Selangor on Monday. It is learned that the suspect, whose company was involved in the project, had been making false claims since 2020 until May this year. The individual was brought before Magistrate Irza Zulaika Rohanuddin on Tuesday, who allowed for him to be remanded for 3 days until September 15th. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission over the few months had arrested several individuals in connection with the case. Aside from the managing director, 5 other individuals had been questioned over the false claim allegations. And lastly, in Selangor, 6 people, including 4 women, have been remanded for 5 days by the Shah Alam Magistrates Court in connection with cases of false claims totaling almost 900,000 ringgit, which happened between 2016 and last year. The remand order was issued by Magistrate Muhammad Reza Azhar Rezali on Tuesday, following an application by the MACC. On Monday, it was reported that the 6 suspects, aged between 30 and 59, were arrested when they turned up at the Selangor MACC office to give their statements. Sources said the suspects included the chief operating officer, director and accountant of a construction company, who were believed to have conspired to approve payments to 2 companies involved in drainage, upgrading and flood mitigation projects in the state, although the works were not carried out. The probe is being conducted under the MACC Act. Now, every year in China, around the Mid-Autumn Festival, the Qiangtang River Tidal Bore culminates and reaches its best for sightseeing on the 18th day of the 8th lunar month. During the time, the strikingly grand tidal bores on the river create lots of magnificent scenery for spectators. Let's take a look at the breathtaking views as we wrap up Nightline this time around. With that, I'm Muhammed Ahmad Hamdan. Thank you for watching and stay safe.